Good morning. Monday, September 27th, 2021, it's 9 o'clock. The Kerr County Court is now in session. Would please stand for prayer and pledge. Pray with me. Good and gracious God, we give you thanks for all of our many blessings. We give you thanks for the opportunity to live in this beautiful county, in the most beautiful state, the best country in the world. We give you thanks for the opportunity to live next to our neighbors and friends, and even though we disagree, still be neighbors and friends. We give you thanks for the opportunity to gather here and help govern your people and make wise decisions. And we give you thanks for the collegiality and the fellowship that we have among ourselves here on this court, this courthouse, and in this community. We pray all this in your holy name. Amen. Join me in the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. I want to remind everyone, if you would, turn your phones to vibrate. We're trying to prevent any interruptions in the court proceeding. The first item on our agenda always is to invite public interest. Is there anyone from the public that would like to address the court? This is an opportunity for you to address the court. We don't respond. It's input only, but it is a chance for us to hear the concerns of the public. So is there someone out there, Sheriff?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And we will ask that you limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Identify yourself and your address so we know which precinct you're in. There's a form that you fill out, and I think that's what you're doing out there, is filling out the form so I can introduce them. But,
some of us write slow. I write slow.
Yeah, you're first.
okay. Ms. Heininger, did I say that right?
Yes, you did. Thank you very much.
Please state your name and address.
Susan Deininger, 103 Turnberry Circle, here in Kerrville. Judge Kelly and Commissioners, thank you very much, gentlemen. You're a body of authority and power in our community, and you are elected to use your power on behalf of our citizens. This request to give our money to a company that will benefit by giving gift cards to citizens taking COVID vaccinations is a situation which I feel does require differing voices to be heard. First, if the shot is good, then getting the shot should be its own reward. It should be. You are protected against COVID. Why would you have to be bribed? It's obvious how deadly COVID is. About 1% of the population who get it die. Surviving is its own reward. However, that's not the case. You can get COVID from the shot, or you can get COVID even though you've had the shot. And now you need not one booster, but 2 boosters. It's medically recognized that with your own immunities to COVID are boosted 27% by having the disorder, the disease, and only 20% by getting the shot. And getting the shot on top of having had the illness does not give you 47% resistance, but may give you the illness again. Looking at the Poison Center for information regarding vaccine ingredients, you find that the formaldehyde formalin is a highly toxic carcinogen. The beta-propiolactone is a toxic chemical and carcinogen that can cause death or permanent damage with very short exposure to small quantities. There are 15 damaging ingredients in the vaccines, varying as to the different vaccines. And that's not including the genetic materials that are in there releasing proteins in your cells. Gentlemen, our country is under attack from every direction. Relevant to this discussion, our economic situation is becoming very serious, with inflation running at least 13% the last I heard. We need for you to think very carefully about where you spend our money. Regarding COVID, you could become vocal advocates for closing our border to COVID carriers. You could be supportive of the recognized USDA-approved use of ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine as effective prophylactics or early treatments of COVID. You could be a supportive of those with underlying illnesses who are afraid of the disease, getting the shot, and taking other precautions like staying home. When you see the government officials out hobnobbing with no masks and no distancing, how can you maintain your seriousness and fear of this illness? Nothing that is happening right now appears to have the benefit of the ordinary citizen in mind. We ask that you think of us as you decide whether to spend our money, giving it to one company to promote the inoculation of this highly questionable vaccine. Facts about them keep morphing each day in each week. Please do not bribe or punish people for saying their bodies are theirs and they want to make the decisions regarding them. Thank you very much.
That was exactly 3 minutes. Very good. Next on the agenda are commissioners' comments. We have any comments, precinct 1?
No, had an accident out on Highway 16 this morning, past the S curve, headed south from town, and just remind everybody to be careful, watch out. Cyclists on the road. Had 2 cyclists killed in the Houston area this weekend, 4 hospitalized, so just be careful on the road. A lot of trash too. That's my addendum. A lot of trash on the road. Cut the crap, folks. Stop it. It's not funny.
Precinct 2.
On the advice of the Center Point Fire Department, indicated the burn ban precinct and so.
Turn that on.
How'd that feel? A sense of power?
Jody did it.
She already has all of them.
Precinct 3.
Hopefully the forecast is correct and we'll get rain this week.
I hope so. Saturday night, I went to the event center for the stock show fundraiser, and that was good. Good turnout. They raised lots of money. I don't know what the totals were, but it was a good turnout. Another thing that will occur before we have our next commissioner's report is the Mountain Home Volunteer Fire Department fundraiser, October 9th, Saturday, October 9th. So I'd encourage everybody to come out there and support your volunteers. So that's it.
Okay, the 4-H login dinner, this is Saturday.
That's right.
So hopefully everyone's going to attend that.
Good deal.
Very good. We've got a busy agenda this morning. I'm going to start with item 1.3, and I've got my district clerk has to get out to the youth center for jury selection, so I've got to kind of expedite this. But at this time I'm going to call a presentation on behalf of the Capital Improvement Planning Committee to explain the need for the West Kerr County Annex to Commissioners Court and the public. Bobby Tinker.
Okay, thank you very much. So we've talked several times as a committee. We've brought you information. I won't go into the whole committee structure. You guys should know that. But to give you a little bit of context on what we're doing today, myself, fellow committee members are going to be meeting with you.
Introduce your committee members over here.
Okay, Pete Calderon, right here. Very, very smart guy. Brenda Hughes. Chris Hughes, no relation. Everybody knows this guy right here, right? I'm not even saying because he needs no introduction. Right there.
And Bobby, we're going to ask you to go to the podium so the people at home can see you on YouTube.
Okay, so let me grab my stuff here.
Okay.
And our architect is Peter Lewis right there. So to give a little bit of context, what we are going to be doing with the public, what we're going to be doing with the Commissioners Court is every so often we are going to be bringing you little snippets of information. Our projects are broken down into 5 projects. And so the first thing that we're going to talk about today, or the only thing that we're going to talk about today, I should say, is the West Kerr Annex. So I have for you, we're going to talk just briefly about it. What I have here are a few handouts. This is a draft. Haven't got the approval of the committee yet, but I wanted you to see it. What it's going to do is it's going to give you just a little bit of information regarding the project that we are doing. As you can see, the project is, or the annex used to be an animal, I don't think it was a slaughterhouse, but it was some kind of animal control facility, and it looks like it. It's very small. It's not ADA compliant under any circumstances. There's only 4 parking places out front. And if you turn the pictures over, you will be able to see kind of what we're talking about. You guys want to look through those? And what is the best way to do this for YouTube, Judge, with these?
You can hold up the
pictures?
picture right in front of you.
Okay.
You can hold up.
Okay, so that'd probably be the best way to do it. But, you know, a picture speaks 1,000 words, and if you will look at the pictures on the very back, I'm going to walk you through exactly what the citizens of Kerr County and our annex deal with. So, if you look at the first picture, which would be your upper left, that is the courtroom. Kind of some antique folding chairs. The next picture, which I think is absolutely beautiful, is the security system there. So what you have, in case you can't see it, is a coat hanger that actually wires the door closed. The next one is the IT room. And I think Brenda
Oh, man.
has some better pictures there.
That's our locking mechanism out there.
So let's go kind of quick, Brenda. What do you got next? And I'll go through that.
Okay, we have the lobby and there's storage.
So that is the storage system for tax records, vehicle records, whatever we have at West Kerr at the time. That is the storage facility out there. Next picture we have, I think, is a real beauty here.
Let's see. Come on, right?
Yes, you are holding it right.
Okay, this is the bathroom
So if you look at the right-hand side, that is the telephone system.
and the phone system.
And it is directly across from the only toilet.
8 officers share this space, and this is their evidence. Officers' evidence.
And then, do you have a picture of the break room, Brenda?
They don't have a break room.
Okay, so
That's the lower right.
the lower corner picture is the employee break room. And this seems like a joke, but it is not. So our strong and our best recommendation is that we need a new county annex. It not only serves West Kerr County, but it serves everybody who wants to go out there. And it is very busy. So where are we going from here? The county has purchased some land on Highway 39 right across from Ingram Tom Moore High School that would be a very suitable place to build a new county annex. What would that look like? It would be very simple. It wouldn't be ornate at all. It would be highly functional. And this does not necessarily look like what it would be, but this is one of Peter's renderings on what it theoretically could be. And I'll bring this up a little bit closer so you guys can see it. Again, nothing fancy. It's just functional, and it's something that I think would serve the citizens of Kerr County far better than an old animal control facility that literally
That we're paying rent.
is falling down. Economically, we don't feel like it would be a burden in any way. We are paying a fairly sizable rent for a facility that is probably not up to the standards of the citizens of Kerr County. So our recommendation for this project would be to move forward with whatever we need to do to get a new one. Questions?
So that everybody knows, this is part of an awareness program that the CIP is doing to make the citizens of the county aware of what our capital improvement needs are.
And one thing I don't know is how long that annex has been there. Fred, do you know Judge Henneke, former Judge Henneke?
At least 22 years.
Okay, so it was there when he was there. So it's time to serve the citizens of Kerr County in that area a little bit more.
I like to note, when we put it out there originally, it was done as a bit of an experiment to see how it would work, if it would be used. And I think the long-term intent was always to, if it did work, to do exactly what we're doing right now. It has worked very, very well. It's used by citizens all over the county, especially on the western edge, of course, but also the city of Kerrville, those taxpayers use it as well.
So we feel like there's two barriers to it being used right now, in addition to its current facility. In interviewing Judge Ragdale, the two barriers are A, it's very hard to find. There's not good signage. It's in a kind of an odd place. Some people go out there and they can't find it. And B, there's only 4 parking spots. So they kind of have to, like voting and those kinds of things, they really have to take over another parking lot. And it's just very difficult to get in and out of. We feel like, to your words, Jonathan, it would actually be used more, much more, were it a little bit more visible and usable.
Sure. There's a lot of people out in West Kerr that just don't want to come all the way to the courthouse. And so it is utilized as much as you can, but they deserve better.
We feel like it. We absolutely feel like it. You guys have anything else to add?
Thank you all for coming down. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll be back next month, showing you another meeting.
Thanks.
Thank you. Let's go to item 1.1, consider discuss and take action to approve and adopt the district clerk's civil fine and fees for October 1 through December 31, 2021. Ms. Lane.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. This is just a temporary, just to get us through to the end of the year, because we're going to have new filing fees starting in January with the new legislature going into effect. So with that going into effect, some of our fees were going to change. And so this is just to get us through to the end of the year, and then in 2 weeks I'll bring you back our new filing fee plan starting January.
So these are effective from October 1 through December 31.
31st.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Less, seconded by Commissioner Blue to approve the fee schedule for the district clerk's office as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. Let's go quickly to item 1.2, consider discuss and take appropriate action to set a public hearing on October 12, 2021 at 10 a.m. regarding the district clerk's archival plan GC, that's government code,
Yes, sir.
section 51.317 for the remainder of 2021 calendar year.
Again, this is going to change January 1st. The district clerk's office will no longer be required to do an archival plan, because that archival fee will be no longer. It'll be consolidated into a preservation fee along with our technology fee. So instead of us charging $10 for the preservation and Fund 33 and then another 10 for Fund 44, we're going to have one consolidated fee that we charge $30 for records preservation and our IT technology.
So we have to set it for a public hearing.
Yes, and I just wanted to give you an overview why it was on that short period of time that we needed approval for.
Now, this says consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to set public hearing on October the 12th, not for October 12th.
Right.
It's on.
So we're going,
We're not doing the meeting today.
I know, we're gonna do that meeting on, and that is that's on a Tuesday, that's not during our regular meeting.
Monday's a holiday.
Ma'am?
Monday's a
I
holiday.
know, I'm saying 10 a.m. It's gonna be different so that everybody knows it'll be on Tuesday, that's all.
But our regular, that's when our commissioners court meeting will be.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Less, second by Commissioner Blue, to approve the public meeting for October 12th for the district clerk's office, our archival fund. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0.
Thank you, I appreciate you seeing me early.
Thank you, appreciate it. Okay, let's move on to item 1.4, which is another 9 o'clock item, and that is to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding the update, facility use, and other matters related to COVID-19 Delta variant, including hospitalization numbers and capacity. Doug,
Morning, Judge.
how we doing?
Morning, Commissioners. I think we're doing a lot better. So I'll start off at the top, talk about our vaccine data, and I'll work down through the numbers like I do every week. The number of vaccines allotted so far to Kirk County has been 20,100. Total number of vaccines administered is 45,709. People vaccinated with one dose is 25,700. People fully vaccinated, we're at 22,340. Vaccinations by age, then these are fully vaccinated people. Ages 12 to 15, 564. 16 to 49, 6,760. 50 to 64, 5,610. 65 to 79 has been 6,923. 80 and up, excuse me, 2,478 folks have been vaccinated. Unknown ages, I don't know how you'd have an unknown age, but anyway, there's 5 listed for that. Percentage vaccinations, 12 and up, 55.81% have had one dose. 12 and up, 48.58% are fully vaccinated. 65 and up, 70.26% have had their initial dose. 65 and up, 63.66% are fully vaccinated. From the DSHS dashboard, our active numbers as of yesterday were 266. Active recovered 5,691. And unfortunately, they're showing 115 people have been deceased. Peterson Regional Hospitalizations, I don't get any updates from Peterson over the weekend. So for Friday, September the 24th, we had 22 COVID patients in Peterson Regional Hospital. 6 of those were in ICU. 3 were on ventilators. 3 were on BiPAPs, and 5 of those have been fully vaccinated. 5 of the 22 have been fully vaccinated. RMOC data, that data continues to drop, just like our hospitalization numbers continue to drop. The RMOC numbers for 795 were 13% of the hospital occupancy capacity for TSA Region P, which is our trauma service area, the 28 counties that we encompass. On September 22nd, FDA extended the emergency use authorization of the Pfizer to include a 3rd dose for certain people. The CDC directors endorsed that recommendation for a 3rd dose of Pfizer to the following groups: individuals 65 years of age or older, individuals 18 through 64 years of age at a high risk of severe COVID-19, individuals 18 through 64 years of age whose frequent institutionalized or occupational exposure to SARS-CoV-2 puts them at high risk for serious complications. The additional dose should be administered only to individuals who were originally vaccinated with Pfizer. If you've had Moderna or Johnson & Johnson, you can't you get the Pfizer. And at least 6 months after the 2nd dose. So implementation of that 3rd dose rollout is going to be, information will be coming out on that pretty soon, I think, from the CDC as well as DSHS.
Yeah, was there ever any information about why the Moderna and the Johnson & Johnson, that they're not doing any kind of boosters or not? I mean, is it just that it works better and they're not doing it, or?
I think they're
working on it, they're not to the approval stage.
You just don't hear, in the news, I don't hear anything about it.
There's some chatter about it.
So the last information I had was on the Moderna, and that they're studying it, but it's not been approved for emergency use authorization yet.
I'd heard that the Moderna was working a lot better, so they weren't going to do it. But I just wondered if there's anything officially that you're
I
hearing.
think it just depends on which news station you listen to or which website you go to.
So is it just assumed now that we're dealing with the Delta variant? Because
I
I
think
know we
you're-
don't test for it, but,
I think you're still dealing with both variants.
okay. I just noticed that, you know, in the agenda item, it says the COVID Delta variant, so.
Delta's the variant of the
Name of the week?
variant of the week, yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other questions for Doug? Thank you.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a great day.
So item 1.5, consider discuss and take appropriate action on a request to dedicate a bench at Flat Rock Park. This to be purchased by Ms. Burton. Sean Burton. Anybody here for that? I don't know anything about it.
She requested, like the first day here, called and requested this item, and I didn't know exactly how to work it, and was glad to have her contact head of maintenance, Shane Evans, and he called me and talked like there was something in progress, but I didn't read this item until last night, and we don't have.
Maybe you have anything to report on?
She was wanting to put a bench like the one that's currently there now, and I told her that that was something I couldn't authorize, and it would need to be done through Commissioner's Court, but she contacted Jody, and then left it for y'all's review.
I mean, this has been an ongoing concern about people donating things to the county for their personal reasons. And I generally am against it, because then we get stuck with the maintenance of it, which means the taxpayers get stuck with the maintenance of it. We have things that don't match.
Right.
Scatter around the county, so, you know, I thought we had a policy about it, but Jody looked at me, probably never could get to a point of having a policy. But, you know, I just overall not real in favor of items like this. Trees, I'm much more supportive or interested in, but just things.
How about a cannon?
Cannons, gazebos, birdhouses, we've got all of the donated, and I think I voted against most of them.
Apparently there's one like out there already
But-
that she wants to do.
For a person.
She also had mentioned that she would like, it was a dedication for her two dogs, and not for, like the first one we did was for a deceased family member. This is for her deceased, or one nearly deceased pet.
One and one older.
I think at a minimum, we need to have specifications, drawings, exactly what she's talking about, and then I'll probably still vote against.
Yeah, I just add
It's
more
just-
maintenance, something else for maintenance, the weed eat around and what have you.
Well, for the record, I'm not against them all looking different. You know, that just adds to the variety that we have in Hill Country. But they need to be stable, supported properly, and we just heard on them, made out of something that's durable.
Well, when it comes to dogs, I favor a wall or something, at their expense, they put their names on it.
Well, that's what the trees are for.
There you go.
Tree on it, have a little plaque on it for a dog.
Half the dogs will salute it.
We don't have a motion on the floor, we're spending a lot of time talking about something, we don't even have a motion. Is there a motion? Okay, that fails for lack of a motion. Let's move on to item 1.6. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to authorize the interlocal agreement between Kerr County and the Upper Guadalupe River Authority for water quality protection through the feral hog management. Ms. Bushman.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. This has been a partnership between Kerr County and UGRA since I think our first interlocal agreement was December 2017 to work together for feral hog management. So the interlocal agreement primarily provides for a way for UGRA to reimburse the county for a portion of the bounties on the feral hogs, as well as some of the software costs associated with the traps that have a wireless gate system. And then, just continuing to collaborate on having the traps that either UGRA or the county owns being put on private landowner property for their use for feral hog management. So we appreciate continued partnership with the county on the feral hog management and would like to see this continue.
I move for approval.
Second.
A motion been made by Commissioner Harris, seconded by Commissioner Gibson, to continue the interlocal agreement with UGRA. Any discussion?
Good program.
Who's not in favor of this?
Right, it's a good program, it's good joint venture, so it's working.
Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0.
Thank you all very much.
And thank your board.
Yes.
You did.
You bet.
Thank you.
Item 1.7, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action on the request of Nancy Parkhurst for the county to provide newly vaccinated individuals with a $100 HEB gift card as an incentive to get the vaccine. Ms. Parkhurst is here. Would you like to address this?
Yeah, I'll give you my feelings on this. Good morning, gentlemen. I'm here today to talk about the vaccination rate in Kerr County. I'm interested in the vaccination rate because of my cousin, Bill Brody, who died of COVID-19 on January 21, 2021, before the vaccine was available. He was a Vietnam Marine who lost his leg. His entire life he was active in the cattle industry. He was the founder of the All-American Beef Battalion Foundation. His foundation has now served steak dinners to 400,000 veterans. And in honor of Bill, I want to increase the vaccination rate in Kerr County so no other families have to suffer from a loved one dying of COVID. We have the solution to fight COVID. We have to increase the vaccination rate. Currently, Kerr County fully vaccinated is 48%. I'm hopeful by using a $100 HEB gift card as an incentive, we can increase our vaccination rate quickly. This program has been used in Houston successfully and is soon starting in San Antonio. If we work hard right now, we can have an impact before Thanksgiving and Christmas season begins. The holiday season usually causes an upward spike in cases. If we work hard on vaccinations, we could slow down the virus. This is an urgent situation. We want to spare our Peterson Hospital from having to ration care. We do not want to become a Utah, an Idaho, or a Mississippi. My estimate is for every 1,000 people vaccinated, it will increase our rate by 2%. So 2,000 new shots would increase the rate by 4%. The Commissioner's Court would decide on how many cards would be given out and the location details. This can be funded with federal funds already given to Kerr County. I have the HEB contact information if you decide to do the incentive program. I personally think the HEB card is a practical solution, but if you want to use another incentive, that is fine. Thank you for your time, and I hope I have inspired you to support a vaccination incentive program to save Kerr County lives and the Peterson Hospital. We don't want to go down that road that we see on TV. I had a friend in Fredericksburg who was just very lucky the other day when she showed up with her husband sick. He needed ICU. 2 minutes before he showed up, they life flighted a guy out of there. And so he got to have an ICU bed. And that was 2 weeks ago. So I take it for real that we really don't want this happening in Kerrville. And I wish people would be more serious about getting the vaccination rate up. San Antonio is at 70%. And we just need to try harder so we don't have sick people. It really upset me the other day when I saw the lady in Ingram. There's a young lady that's in ICU on an ECMO machine in San Antonio that's had to give, she's pregnant, she gave birth, and now she's in very bad shape. So I just don't want other families to go through it, and the only way we can do it is to fight this virus. Anyway, I appreciate you guys talking about it, and I hope we can come up with some kind of incentive.
Thank you, Ms. Lockwood.
Thank you.
Any discussion? Any motion? There being no motion, then the item fails for lack of a motion. We'll move on to item 1.8, which is consider, discuss, take appropriate action regarding contract for public services Shane Adams.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'd like to accept the contract as presented. We are hitting lower rates on our services starting at the 11th November.
This is the same contract, but the same form.
Yes, sir. It was before.
Have you-
My understanding is that Heather sent out an email, September the 21st, with one recommended change, I think, in the terms and conditions.
Yes, ma'am.
That's
That change
correct.
was accepted and
Okay.
added, yes, ma'am.
That was the only input from our office.
May I say something before we
Sure.
continue?
Sure.
sorry. Sherry Jones, Territory Executive for Republic Services. I know many of you for many years. I lived at 2126 Bluff Ridge Drive for 22 years and recently moved to Bernie, trying to figure out who I wanted to be as an adult. So,
We're so sorry.
exactly. Thank you. I need all I can get. But I want to thank you all for allowing me to speak to you for just a moment. From my heart, over the last 9 years, I've had the honor to work with you and the county and your employees. And I cannot thank Shane, and this is no bull. Shane has been a true professional. He has worked with me closely to let me know if there are any issues. We've worked closely to make sure that those are resolved. Jody in the office has been a joy and very clear about what is needed, making my job easier. So we want to thank you for your partnership. I can tell you that right now, we have grown since we started working with you from 20 employees, local. We all live here, we work here, we worship here, and we raise our children here. And you are a big part of that. So we are proud to work with you and sponsor. I know that you had mentioned highway cleanup, a lot of trash, and that is true. And we've been a big part of doing highway cleanup. So if you don't mind, I'd love to visit with you or with Jody after the meeting and discuss where we can be a partner in doing that. We work with the UGRA for highway cleanup, and we would also like to work with you on that too. We take our partnership very seriously. I think you know that in our community and in our county, readily available great job opportunities are not always there. So what you do is very important, and I thank you for that. I presented this to Shane, and we worked together on making sure that we stay within, a good market value on what you're paying for and the services that we provide. So thank you very much, and I would love to answer any questions if you have any for me.
Shane, we get that worked out with Extension out there, what they
Yes,
need?
we did.
Okay, very good.
Very good.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner West, second by Commissioner Harris to approve the contract with Public Services. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Item 1.9, consider discussion take appropriate action to declare various equipment items for Constable Precinct 3 surplus.
Mr. Gonzalez wasn't able to make it this morning, asked me to present this item for him. It's basically 2 rifle scopes that are being surplused. We had a bid on them from a company called Clean Shot Armory, and he doesn't have a need for them.
My question is no problem surplusing them. Can we surplus them and get rid of them this way, or do we have to put them on some sort of an auction?
I don't think we have to bid something like this.
Usually we put them on
Gov deals.
Gov deals, something like that, when we put, a bunch of them at once or something like that. And I just want to make sure we're doing this in the proper way. I've never seen this just go straight to a vendor.
That was my question too, so I saw this.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Mr. Lutz there.
Yeah, it is the same thing.
Right.
Put it up for auction. So put it on Gov deals at some point.
I'll let him know.
Just have to notify the prospective purchaser that we're going to put it on Gov Deals, and they go online and bid right there. It's just a different route.
And I'll mention to him, you might get with, I don't know, do y'all do a lot of, Kelly does it quite a bit with Gov Deals. I don't know which, probably some of the.
Probably has more experience than we do.
It's been a while, but.
Does it have to be that, or could it be, there's like different gun auctions online as well that would be appropriate for us?
It's still a legal question.
Yeah. It needs to get out some sort of an auction format, I believe.
Yeah.
Gov Deals is safe.
Yeah.
That's proven.
Okay.
Just notify those purchasers and they can buy right off the internet.
But I make a motion to guys do surplus and then surplus in the proper way.
Second.
Dispose of in the proper way. That's what I'm trying to say.
We've got a motion by Commissioner Les, second by Commissioner Blue to surplus the rifle scopes and submit them on govdeals.com. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. 5-0, unanimous.
I would like to know if it's okay legally to put it on other websites or to dispense with surplus another way.
I will get back with you on that. I think my recollection, and it's been a little bit, and I haven't finished my coffee yet, so we're not gonna be.
I don't mean right
mentally
now, but
sure.
if we can be advised for the future.
Absolutely.
Because this comes up a good thing.
Absolutely.
I think you can give it to another government, or you can put it on a competitive website.
There are certain places that they say that you're supposed to post and bid. I don't think we're necessarily limited to Gov, but.
But
it's pre-approved.
But they're
So
saying.
we know we can do it.
They're
We
saying.
can do that,
But if
but
we had a list of 5 of them and one is more appropriate to the
Right.
surplus.
people looking for these type items that might bring more going to one of these others
Right.
rather than Gov Deal. Heck, I might buy it off Gov Deal.
Okay. Let's move on to item 1.10, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to renew the 2022 Workers' Compensation Renewal Questionnaire. Ms. Goss.
Yes, good morning. This is just an annual workers' comp insurance renewal. So I'm asking for y'all to approve it.
And should have been, if this comes to court usually, I'm not sure if it doesn't, but it doesn't hurt to, so.
I don't remember the questionnaire.
Yeah, I don't think we did it last year, so.
I'll move that we approve the questionnaire as presented and authorize submission to tax.
Motion by Commissioner Letts, second by Commissioner Blue to approve the Workers' Compensation Renewal Questionnaire. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. Item 1.11, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve various departmental descriptions due to necessary revisions. Ms. Goss.
Yes, based on the salary study and some of the grade and step, or the grade changes to jobs, I have several just job descriptions to be updated, to be.
How many?
4. I can read them each if you
I'd
want.
like to know.
Sure. So the road and bridge administrative assistant position that went to a 17. The Justice of the Peace positions for JP 1 through 4 went to a 19.5. Office assistant at the Sheriff's Department went to a 15. And the new Justice of the Peace court clerk that they're going to share, it's a grade 15. And this is a new one for the new position.
Yeah, so we're just changing the second grade on those.
Yes, and the only new one is the part-time floating, well, not floating, but the part-time court clerk that the JP 1 and 3 are going to share. That's the only new one.
I make a motion that we approve the new job description of the 3 that were revised.
Second.
Are they really new?
One of them's new,
One.
and the other 3 were.
Revisions.
So we lumped them together.
Motion by Commissioner Letts, second by Commissioner Harris to approve the departmental job description due to necessary revisions. As presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dawson. Item 1.12, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to accept the reappointment of Andy Shelton as the Kirk County Auditor. Let me revise that. This is just to confirm her reappointment by the district judges who have appointed her. This is just our ratification of that act.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Letts, second by Commissioner Blue, to confirm the reappointment of Andy Shelton as county auditor. Any discussion? This is your chance to talk about her.
Yeah, she's doing a great job. I think she does great. She explains things so that I can understand. So that's really important.
That's important.
That's very important.
This is a great job, I agree.
I need a motion this second.
You made it.
Okay? Those
I made the motion, you made the second.
in favor, raise your hand. 5-0. That is a vote of confidence, by the way.
I appreciate it.
Item 1.13, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to nominate up to 5 persons to the Kerr Central Appraisal District Board of Directors for 22 and 23. It's that time.
Right. Well, I'm going to, you want to do one, me do one? I'll move to appoint Bruce Cartwright
Nominate.
nominee.
And I think, we have two up there, we have two representatives there. We've kind of supported, one is Eric Lance and one is Judy Webb-Smith. And they'll probably recommend both of them, but another new one would be Larry Rio. So we would be nominating a total of 4. And we'll, in December, cast our votes. And sometimes, we generally can get one guaranteed slot, and sometimes we'll work with other entities to get 2 that we're happy with and that they're happy with. So it's just a nomination at this point.
I have Bruce Cartwright, Eric Lance, Larry Creo, and who else?
Judy Webb-Smith. So we have, motion by Commissioner Lance, second by Commissioner Harris to nominate, put them together here. Yeah, cobble together. To nominate Bruce Cartwright, Larry Creo, Eric Lance, and Judy Webb-Smith as nominees for the Kirk County Appraisal District Board. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Okay, we're actually ahead of schedule, which is kind of rare. Let's move on to, I can't call it a 10 o'clock item because it's not 10 o'clock. So I have to go down where we don't have a time item, which would be item 1.23, consider, discuss, take appropriate actions to approve the contract with grant work for administrative services related to the American Rescue Plan Act. Ms. Shelton.
Yes, this is the contract that was the outcome of our bid that we did for ARPA services with GrantWorks. The county attorney has reviewed the contract.
That's her.
I would have been within the contract. So I work for GrantWorks. So I make the motion, seconded by Commissioner Gibson, to approve the GrantWorks contract for grant administrative services for the American Rescue Plan Act. Any discussion?
Question, we will have them come down and want to do a workshop or something to go through how this is all going to work? Or
we can, yeah.
Yes, and there's also, they would like set up meetings to where they would inform us of what's going on periodically.
Yeah, that's good.
To get a schedule.
We'll have a grant person pretty quick that can help with this as well.
Okay. But right now, we need to get the contract in place so that we can refer people who want to apply for grants under the ARPA funds that we have deposited with the county. And they'll administer that. Right. They make recommendations to us. Perfect. Okay. Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Did you vote?
Yeah.
Okay. With that form, item 1.24, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve the contract with GrantWorks for the administrative consultant services related to the FEMA Hazardous Mitigation Assistance Program. This is a different grant.
This is a different grant, and this did also go out for bid, and this is the result of that bid. The county attorney's office has reviewed this also.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Blue, second by Commissioner Gibson to approve GrantWorks for the administrative consultant services contract for FEMA Hazardous Mitigation Assistance Program. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. Item 1.25, consider, discuss, take appropriate action to set budget for the grant awarded to Kerr County for the Hill Country Regional Public Defender's Office.
Yes, we did receive the grant from the TIDC. The grant award is $1,747,835. The budget that you see in front of us was the one presented to TIDC when we requested the grant. So this is just formally that we did receive the grant, and this is how the money is going to be spent.
Move for approval. Got a motion by Commissioner Les, second by Commissioner Harris to approve the Public Defender's Office grant from TIDC. Just as a reminder, our first year grant from TIDC set up this 5-county Public Defender's Office for $2.5 million. And we didn't get started on it until January 1 of this year, and they extended that which is not our fiscal year. And then extended that, and that is an 80-20 matching grant, which is a huge contribution from the state after years of virtually nothing. And so this is a sustaining grant, and it's not an 80-20, it's a 1/3, 2/3. And that reflects the budget for the public defender's office. But this 1.75 on top of the 2.5 is a substantial, significant contribution from the state to help us fund the attorneys that we provide for indigent defendants. And I strongly recommend it. So with that, any other discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. Okay. Vote. Yeah, let's go take a break and come back to the call. Before we come back to order, we're going to go to our 10 o'clock docket. Start with item 1.14, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action for the Commissioners Court to set a public hearing regarding the installation of 2 stop signs on Holly Drive North and Box S Drive North and Wood Duck Lane North and Box S Drive North, Precinct 1. Ms. Hoffman.
A traffic study was conducted on 8/9 of 2021 through 8/16/2021 at the intersections of Box S Drive North, Holly Drive North, and Wood Duck Lane North in Precinct 1. 4 traffic counter boxes were placed at this intersection. The results are in the backup data that was submitted to the court. The county engineer reviewed this data and has made recommendations for a stop sign at Holly Drive North at Box S Drive North and Wood Duck Lane North at Box S Drive North. Box S Drive North is county maintained from FM 783, which is Harper Road, to the intersection of Holly Hill Drive North. Box S Drive North and Holly Drive North are county maintained roads. Wood Duck Lane North is a privately maintained road, and Box S Drive North from this intersection to the back of the road is privately maintained. The proposed stop signs will be installed in the county's right-of-way. Since the stop sign is a regulatory sign and punishable by a fine, a public hearing is required. At this time, I ask the Commissioners Court to set a public hearing for Monday, November 8th, 2021 at 10 a.m. regarding the installation of 2 stop signs at one intersection of Holly Drive North and Box S Drive North and Wood Duck Lane North at Box S Drive North. And that's in Precinct 1.
Second. We got a motion by Commissioner Blue, second by Commissioner Harris. Set a public hearing for November the 8th. The stop signs at Holly Drive and Box S Drive.
And Wood Duck Lane and Box S Drive North.
Right. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. Item 1.15, public hearing for revision of plat for Spicer Ranch number 3, lot 16, W3R. I convene the public meeting. Is there anybody here from the public that would like to discuss Spicer Ranch number 3, lot 16, W3R? There being no one, I'll adjourn the meeting. We will go on to item 1.16, which is to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action for the court to set a public hearing for 10 a.m. on November 8th for revision of plat for Montefello Estates Section 2, Lot 31.
Thank you, Judge. This proposal divides Lot 31, 6.51 acres into 2 lots. Lot 31R1 to be 2.02 acres with frontage on Katy Lane and Hidden Acres Road. Lot 31R2 will be 4.49 acres with frontage on Katy Lane. Both proposed lots are in the floodplain and must meet requirements for development within the floodplain. We did review our base level engineering data that we've had for a year now. It is just an estimator. It gives you an idea of what the floodplain could be if you do a detailed study. It's not based on a detailed study. It's based on estimated methods. And the engineer that is developing this has also done his own study and is defining the floodplain through that detailed study. So when this does get platted, it will be reflected, the detailed study will be reflected. And there's differences between the estimated, the detailed, and of course Zone A, which was FEMA's estimate from decades ago. County engineer requests the court set a public hearing for 10 a.m. on November 8, 2021 for revision of plat of Montebello Estate Section 2, Lot 31, Volume 4, page 101, Precinct 2.
I move for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Gibson, second by Commissioner Blue to set a public hearing for November 8th at 10 a.m. For revision of plat for Montebello Estates Section 2, Lot 31. Any discussion?
Only comment is that when they do the final one, they use the terminology revision as opposed to replat.
Okay. Those in favor, raise your hand. That's unanimous. So on to Item 1.17, consider, discuss, take appropriate action for the court to set a public hearing for 10 a.m. on November 8, 2021 for revision of plat for Kerrville Hills Ranch Estates number 1, lot 27. Charlie Hastings.
This proposal divides lot 27, 5 acres by existing plat, a little bit over 5 acres, into 2 lots, 27A and 27B. Will each be 2.55 acres with frontage on Loma Vuelta Road. It is in Kerrville's extraterritorial jurisdiction, and it will be platted through both the city of Kerrville and Kirk County simultaneously. A previous request for the court to waive platting oversight and approval to the city of Kerrville was denied because right-of-way dedication along Loma Vuelta is needed. The county engineer requests the court set a public hearing for 10 a.m. on November 8, 2021 for a revision of plat for Kerrville Hills Ranch Estates number 1, lot 27, volume 3, page 74, precinct 2.
I move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gibson, second by Commissioner Blue to approve the public hearing for 10 a.m. on November 8, 2021 for a revision of plat for Kerrville Hills Ranch Estates number 1, lot 27. Any questions, discussion?
I would like to point out that you might want to, for final plat, clean up that location map. It's pretty, mine is pretty vague, at least, make sure it's, so when it is filed, you can see it or whatever. You understand what I'm talking about, this one right here?
I think that's
I thought these were the
Are you talking about the vicinity map?
Yes.
On there? Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's.
That's the city's map. I believe I've made that comment already, and also from the previous one, that revision of plat, but we'll make sure these get taken care of for sure.
Any other questions? Comments? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. Item 1.18, consider, discuss, take appropriate action for the court to set a public hearing for 10 a.m. on November 8 for a revision of plat for Greenwood Forest, Section 7, Phase 2, Block 18, lots 20 to 21. Charlie Hastings.
This proposal adjusts the line between lot 20, which is currently 0.45 acres, and lot 21, which is currently 0.53 acres. Lot 20R will be 0.43 acres. It'll go down a little bit. Lot 21R will be 0.55 acres. It'll go up a little bit. Both lots will front Sherwood Lane. These lots existed before current regulations. Again, this is settling a lot line issue. I think a driveway or something like that got built too close to the lot line, and this is how they want to resolve it. They do own both lots. The resultant will still have a lot that's less than half an acre. So that is an issue with environmental health. They won't be able to sign off on the plat unless directed so by the court, because in order to have a septic system, the state of Texas got to have half an acre. So that is a technicality, and the existing lot is less than half an acre. So all that to say, county engineer requests the court set a public hearing for 10 a.m. on November the 8th, 2021 for a revision of plat for Greenwood Forest, Section 7, Phase 2, Block 18, lots 20 and 21, Volume 5, page 151, Precinct 4.
I move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Letts, set a public hearing for November 8th for revision of plat for Greenwood Forest, Section 7, Phase 2, Block 18, lots 20 and 21. Any discussion?
Is that a Aqua Texas water source?
I believe it is Aqua Texas. Double check. I think we have that on our checklist here. It is Aqua Texas, yes, sir.
Okay, there being no questions or discussion, those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. Item 1.19, consider, discuss, take appropriate action for the court to approve the final plat for People's State Bank pending approval from TxDOT.
This plat proposes one lot, 1.358 acres, and dedicates right-of-way on Depot Alley. It is not a residential lot, this is for commercial. It fronts Depot Alley and State Highway 27 in Center Point. Access to the proposed lot will be from Depot Alley. Any access on Highway 27 would require approval from TxDOT. We did get that resolved on Thursday of last week. There is a note that has been added to the Mylar plat. You have a paper copy that was produced before we couldn't get you the revision in your hands, but the clerk has it in hers. I've reviewed that note from TxDOT that says that access will only be from Depot Alley, so it solves an issue. That would be a horrible place to try to have access off of 27. There's a lot going on right there at the intersection of Depot Alley, crossing Highway 27. There's just too much, 480. There's just too much going on there. But the owners have no problem with that. They want their access to be off of Depot Alley so it'll be safe for everybody. So all that said, because it has been resolved with TxDOT, that was the only outstanding issue at the time we wrote the agenda bill. County engineer recommends the court approve the final plat for People's State Bank as it is in the clerk's hands and as it was resolved with TxDOT, Precinct 2.
I move to approve.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Gibson, second by Commissioner Blue, to approve the final plat for People's State Bank. Any discussion? Questions? Those in favor, raise your hand. 5-0 unanimous. Next is item 1.20, consider discuss and take appropriate action for the court to rescind court order number 37909, which approved the final plat for Tortuga Arroyo Estates and information and discussion of the subdivision known as Tortuga Arroyo Estates Precinct 1. Sorry,
Thank you, Judge. A final plat for this subdivision was approved, and a performance bond for the associated construction was accepted on January 13, 2020 by order number 37909. The subdivision consisted of 8 lots and a private gated road approximately 3,000 feet long. Each lot was greater than 22 acres. However, the developer did not file the plat with the county clerk's office, and the property has been sold. Since the new owner wishes to further develop the subdivision, there is a request to rescind court order number 37909, which approved the plat previously, and then just information and discussion about this new proposal. This subdivision is now proposing 33 lots instead of 8. They're all greater than 5 acres. I think the smallest one was 5.01 acres. And 4 roads totaling approximately 8,200 feet. They're proposing those roads be public. County engineer requests the court rescind court order number 37909, which approved the final plat for Tortuga Arroyo Estates. And that's the only action item we're asking for on this. It's Precinct 1, and of course it's open for any kind of discussion or comments, or if you want to ask the developer anything about what they're proposing to do here.
All the streets are going to be public?
Yes.
I'm going to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Blue, second by Commissioner Gibson, to rescind court order number 37909. That's the only action item you take.
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion about this?
Well, we also submitted the plat, preliminary plat. So,
We did.
so no approval on that.
Correct.
Could you speak up a little bit?
So we also submitted the preliminary plat, so we're requesting that there is approval for the preliminary plat.
When you speak, you really need to go to the podium, because I think the microphone has some camera people that don't watch you, so you should hear you.
Mike Wellborn, 631 Water Street. Question, we also submitted the preliminary plat. Is there a preliminary plat approval process?
We don't
We don't approve of
Okay, not at all. Options? Okay. Yeah.
The legislature told us we can't do that.
Okay. So the next step would be submittal of final plat and construction documents.
Keep working with the county engineer. We like the process. We just can't do it because the legislature said they're gone.
Okay.
I apologize to Wellborn Engineering, I didn't convey that to them before this got on the agenda.
I used
These
to
are-
know that, but I know very few.
He's right, that was the previous process, just as recently as 2 weeks ago. So
We thought it was a good process, but state legislature, in their infinite wisdom, decided that local government should not do that, require that. Okay, any other discussion about the extending court orders, so they can do this? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. Item 1.21, information and discussion for a proposed subdivision known as the Hideout Ranch in Precinct 4. Charlie Hastings.
Judge, this proposed subdivision consists of property located in Kerr County and Gillespie County. It includes portions of an unofficial subdivision known as Harper Valley. Access to the subdivision will be off of FM 479 in Kirk County. The smallest lot size is 6 acres, and they've got about 93 lots in there. Total, 47 of them are in Kirk County. The number of lots that are allowable are 93, I apologize. There's 47 that are in Kirk County and 12 in Gillespie. So they had the ability to have as many as 93, but they're not doing that. They're doing 59 lots. Of course, they're proposing all private wells, OSSF, on-site septic facilities, and everything's out of the floodplain out there. It's pretty high and dry. And they do have 3 roads proposed in there, 13,800 feet in Kerr County, 3,500 in Gillespie, 2 cul-de-sacs.
And this is for information and discussion.
Yes, sir.
And, I mean, it basically meets all of our rules, it's nothing.
It's textbook? Yes, sir.
Textbook.
2 entries off 479.
That's correct.
Are the roads intended to be private or the county roads?
These were intended to be private roads and privately maintained. And so their entrances off of 479, you'll note they're a lot further back to give folks an opportunity. If someone doesn't belong there, they accidentally turn in and they come up to a gate that they can't open, they have a way to turn around and get back out safely.
I see that, that's good.
Any other discussion? Any questions? Okay, we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is item 1.22, which is information and discussion for potential subdivision referred to as Vintage Oak Ranch, Precinct 2.
This proposal divides 554 acres into approximately 80 lots with proposed roads and some remaining tracks. Primary access would be off of State Highway 173. We've got 78 lots, the smallest of which 5.01 acres. Private wells, on-site septic facilities, OSSF. There is some floodplain out there. It is zoned A, which means it has not had a detailed study done on it yet. We do have base level engineering data available for that does show an estimate of what it could look like should they do a detailed study. And there will be some detailed studies that they're doing. County engineer requests the court provide any input that you have. There's no action on this item, but we really just, it's information and discussion. We want you to know what's going on, for the community to know. Again, it's referred to as Vintage Oaks Ranch, Precinct 2. And I think the property was formerly known as, or maybe still known as Tortuga Ranch, not to be confused with the subdivision that we just looked at a moment ago.
There's not my comment, just because our format seems a little different. And just sort of the public standpoint is that under the rules of our legislature, which the judge alluded to, and we were advised not to take action on anything until we get a final plat submitted. So this is a way for the court to be aware of it, the public to be aware of what's coming down the pipe, but we're not going to provide any approvals of concept plans or preliminary plats going forward. So we're just trying to follow the rules set by the legislature.
Do you access this property, Charlie, off at 2771?
No, it's 173.
173.
Oh, wait, this is the entrance, okay.
There's a portion of that overall property that does front on Lower Turtle Creek Road. And it also has some of the city's extraterritorial jurisdiction on it. So and I believe, I'm not sure that you can, when you come into the development off of 173, once you get up there, that you can safely drive back down to that. There seems to be some kind of a divide in between, is that right? We have the design engineer here. He can speak to what he's planning on doing with that. There is a connectivity between,
Identify yourself.
I'm sorry, sir, David Parkerson, licensed engineer. I'm representing the Wynn and Tortuga Ranch, as well as the applicant BWE Land. There is connectivity on the ranch between the two roadways. There will not be a connectivity that meets county grades.
There's a gate that comes out there, or a gated road that comes out.
There's multiple gated driveways onto 2771. The intention there, we've met with the city and they took no great issue with it. The intention there is large enough lots that they stay large enough that there's no true subdivision, because they are already allocated to users now. Between the 2771 access and 173, there will not be a 12% max grade street, which is required with the county. So there will be an access, but it won't meet the 12% grade. So the main entry is off 173. So that helps. Thank you.
Any other discussion or information? Okay, thank you. We'll move on down to the 10:30 item. Oh, dang.
Give me just a second to get this one on. Yeah, please.
Yep.
Now, take a short break.
It's there. I got it.
Yeah.
back in order. We're on item 1.26, which is the presentation of the Texas Department of Agriculture Form A-1024 CDBG, which is the Community Development Block Grant. Section 3 program goals presentation for the Texas CDBG project 721-7045, 721-8045, and 721-8055. Ms. Daly.
She was calling in. Yeah, they're not here, they're.
Supposed to be calling?
Yeah, so she's on the phone, so.
Let's skip over this, move on down, we'll come back to it. Item 1.27, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to reappoint James Wood and Tim Hutchton
Yes, okay.
as board members on Emergency Services District Number 1 for an additional 2-year term. Current term expires 9/30/21. Mr. Harris.
Yeah, this is just procedural. These guys have been serving and done a good job, and it's time to reappoint them. So I move to reappoint them.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Harris, seconded by Commissioner Blue to reappoint James Wood and Tim Huckton to the ESD Number 1 board. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. Moving on to item 1.28, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action on requests from appointed and elected officials to appoint clerks and assistants for their offices pursuant to local government code chapter 151. This is just routine, we took this, we did this a few weeks ago.
Yeah, move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Letts, seconded by Commissioner Harris to approve the appointments for the clerks and assistants under the local government code. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Item 1.29, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to designate a day of the week in which the court shall convene in regular term for FY 21-22 pursuant to local government code. We've been meeting on the second and fourth Mondays, I think, probably since the time began. But we have to set it every year.
I move we continue to set our regular meetings on the second and fourth Monday of each month.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Letts, second by Commissioner Blue to set the regular Commissioners Court meetings on the second and fourth Mondays of the month. Any discussion?
We might need to make a provision for the Monday holidays that it conflicts with.
We do that under state law.
Okay.
All
I just didn't know how it was addressed. Okay.
So with that, those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. Item 1.30, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve the Second Amendment to Professional Services Agreement between Kerr County and Peter Lewis Architect Plus Associates. This is, his contract expired. We're still working on the bond issue. We'll just need to renew his contract.
And this doesn't have anything to do with firearms,
No.
so people understand it.
Second Amendment?
Second.
It's contract.
We've amended his contract.
I was like, I was lost there for a
No,
moment.
Peter Lewis carrying a firearm.
Bruce. Well, that would never happen. I promise you that.
I move for approval, and there is an increase in the not to exceed amount up to $125,000.
Well, that extends the date to,
And it's been the date
Yeah.
for 5 years.
Any other discussion? Who did?
I will.
Commissioner Leslie, made the motion, seconded by Commissioner Harris to renew the contract with Peter Lewis Architect and Associates. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0.
Judge, we got the Rosie on the line now. She was having trouble.
She on this line?
Are you ready to transfer her in? It's, for some reason, it's not going. That might be the initial issue. She was trying the number that she was given. And it wasn't working, so she just called Jody directly.
And I transferred it.
Jody's trying to transfer.
So let's see.
One time I can ask LT
They're usually asking me that.
There wasn't many.
Yeah, no, those don't come on. This is part of the boot.
Part of the move.
Give it just a minute.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I'm trying to get this working. That might be the easiest thing, just give her a number and we'll call her.
Almost. It's back up now. There it is.
Okay. Hello?
Hi, good morning. This is Rosie with Grantworks.
How are you? This is Rocco. Let me go ahead, let me call your agenda item and then you can begin.
Awesome, thank you.
This is item 1.26, which is presentation of the Texas Department of Agriculture, Form A1024, Community Development Block Grant, Section 3 Program Goals. You may proceed.
Thank you so much. Thank you for scheduling time for this presentation. Today we're going to present on the new policy guidance regarding Section 3 issued by the Texas Department of Agriculture. Do I have somebody there advancing slides for me?
Yes.
Okay, next slide, please.
First slide.
Okay, so the projects currently awarded to the county that are impacted by this policy change are the county's CDAP and 2 Colonial Projects. These contracts were working in conjunction with the Texas Water Development Board to install sewer connections and mitigate existing septic tank systems for all households identified as LMI during the application process for the project connection list. All the projects that are impacted are listed on this slide. You have the CDAP 7045 and then the Colonias 8045, 8055. And so we're just going to go through this new policy change and discuss kind of what is impacted with this change from TDA and HUD. Next slide, please.
Okay. It's
Okay. So these grants are funded through the Community Development Block Grant via the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, which is HUD, and the Texas Department of Agriculture, TDA. Next slide, please.
Okay.
Under this updated policy, and as a condition of funding, Kerr County must implement appropriate changes to contract policies and procedures to maintain compliance with Section 3 HUD Act of 1968. Section 3, in a nutshell, is informing and facilitating access for low to moderate income residents and individuals in close proximity to the project area, and or to any opportunities for employment that are either generated by or indirectly benefiting from association from the grant funds received. Next slide. So in part, this really means informing and facilitating Section 3 business owners and Section 3 workers by providing notice of opportunities when they arise. This means knowing where to find requests for bids, when job opportunities arise due to influx of work generated by these grant-funded projects. The Texas CDBG policy issuance 20-01 was provided with the slides and maps for this project. Please refer to these documents for the definitions, or I can email them again later if there is a need. There is a link at the end of this presentation as well, which is not very helpful if you have paper copies, but just let me know if you need that information. Next slide, please.
Good.
Okay, so how do you know if a business is Section 3? Well, a business or company may qualify as a Section 3 business if they are owned by a low to moderate income person, they are owned by a Section 3 assisted housing resident, or 75% of all their labor hours for the business within a 3-month period were performed by Section 3 workers. And Section 3 workers, again, are low to moderate income residents. Businesses that want to register for Section 3 may do so at the HUD Section 3 website listed on this slide, which is also some information I can email later, or they can complete the Form A-203 for submission to PDA. And we already verified that the Kerr County doesn't already have any other kind of job boards to list. So those are the two options currently. Next slide, please.
Okay.
Okay, and so for current reporting on these projects, just for clarification of who's impacted or who's currently working on it, these projects are expected to include grant work, who have been previously selected for administration, Tetra Tech previously selected for engineering, and Chromex recently awarded to actually perform the construction for the LMI households of this project. The Texas Water Development Board side of funding of things are the households that did not qualify as LMI and are not associated with the TPA project. So they're not being listed as a Section 3 business on this just because it's pertaining to TPA contracts only. And there are no subs currently listed at this time for Chromex. Next slide, please.
Okay.
So in practice, we expect most contractors to calculate the LMI status for all workers based on payroll size and family, or payroll and family size. So you might have somebody on staff or someone may qualify as Section 3 worker if their annual income is below the county threshold for the family size. As an example, the county's current threshold for family size of 1 is $35,500. So if that household is making at or below, they would be considered an LMI household. And then they would be considered a Section 3 worker. And so really it's easiest to calculate it based on family size and payroll, or like annual income. And again, some websites where information could be listed for opportunities, workintexas.gov, or the HUD Section 3 Opportunity Portal, which is a new portal that they just implemented this fall. If you have current login information for the SAM registration website, I'm not sure who all goes in and looks at that information. It's the same login information. So it's a different website, but it's through the same agency. So your login on SAM clearances will also work on this HUD Section 3 Opportunity Portal. Okay, next slide, please.
Okay.
So these next 3 slides are looking at the targeted area based on the central location of the project under the grant that's been funded. So this one is specifically to CDOT, and the reason why it looks this wide is not the whole project area, it's the census block group. So per TDA guidance regarding the Section 3 outreach to targeted Section 3 workers, we must utilize block groups within close proximity of the project area. And furthermore, we must use the fewest number of block groups possible to reach at least 5,000 individuals without far exceeding the 5,000 minimum to do so. And so these selections had to be in close proximity to the project center, which is an arbitrary kind of pinpoint of where the work is going to go and just taking a centralized location of that. And then from there, figuring out which block groups are going to be the ones that we should pull into the project. And so these maps in the presentation for each PDA contract were developed by selecting that midpoint and then creating a 1-mile radius from the center of that pinpoint. This mile radius dictates a target block group that were selected in order to capture as many potential LMI residents without far exceeding that 5,000 limit. I know it's a lot of information, but that's why these maps look weird. They're not the project target, actual construction area. It's the block groups that are associated with that 1-mile radius. And so what this is really doing is saying the people that are within that 1-mile radius would be the most likely to be impacted by the funds that are being provided by these grants. and then everybody that's a little bit farther out could potentially be impacted. They could have the opportunity to find out about work and relocate or commute. But the 1 mile radius is most likely, and then the rest of the block groups are potential. And so that's just part of the reporting that's going to be going moving forward, of making sure that we are aware of the surrounding areas and what block groups might be impacted. And so this one, again, is the CDAP. Next slide, please.
Okay.
This one is the 8045 Colonia, which is the 2018 one. And so like the project of the LMI portion of it, the pins will always change, and it's going to be based on the center of that target word. Next slide, please.
Okay.
And this is the third map. So for this presentation specifically, you have 3 grant funds, 3 different target areas for block groups. Some of them have overlap, and some of them don't. Really depends on where the central location of the work is going to be taking place. Before I move forward, do we have any questions so far?
Rose, this is Jonathan. On these, a lot of this area is very sparsely populated. Where the maps you have. So you just have to try to hire in those areas, correct? I mean, there's not a lot of people that live in those areas, in those tracts.
It's not necessarily that you have to try to hire, you just have to post opportunities, or like include that kind of communication. And if you use the Section 3 portal to post opportunities, especially when construction gets started, it's really just that's going to cover the bases. But HUD and TDA wanted to know what is the potential impact that's going to happen. And so it's interesting because this model doesn't really work that well for rural communities. Versus like the way their data was originally put together was based on cities. And so it's not really taking into consideration transportation limitations, distance in terms of how far away that they're going to get. So there's a lot of people that live outside of that 1 mile radius that it wouldn't make sense for them to be able to come to a job. Like if they had transportation, they still might be looking at an hour commute. Just because of how far away they actually live. So it's more of an exercise of like showing PDA this is what the demographics look like, and this is what we're working with. And then also making sure that we post the opportunities in the portal like they would like. But yeah, feasibility, y'all have a lot of sprawl for these rural communities that isn't really factored in for when you're trying to put together these block groups.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions before we move forward?
I don't think so. Please proceed.
All right. Next slide, please. And we can always come back if we need to. Okay, so Kerr County, what does this mean? So Kerr County will need to track all hours worked on this project based on the 3 categories of workers. And this will all require a collection of certain income information. And so the targeted Section 3 workers, that's going to be that 1 mile radius on those maps that we just looked at. All Section 3 workers, that's going to be everybody that's in those block groups that are exceeding that 1 mile radius. And then all workers, just anybody that's working on the project in general. There's going to be more communication and more information on how this is going to be implemented and how it's going to impact the project specifically. It's mostly going to be reporting on construction because there's going to be more funds that are associated with that, although admin and engineering are impacted as well. So next, when we get through going through like actually implementing this, we'll review more forms with the contractor and then within our agencies as well. There's going to be an employer certification form, employee self-certification form, and then a certification as a Section 3 business. Because we are in the middle of construction versus when this first came out, they gave different sets of guidance based on where you are. So like before bidding, we would have had a lot of different things to do, but since this is coming out and we've already bid and we've already awarded, we are doing reporting moving forward, but we don't have to do that initial posting, we'd have to go back and like post opportunities that have already passed, because we're past that point already. But we'll just keep you up to date on all of the changes that are coming with it. TDA is still issuing updated guidance based on their interpretation of the new HUD regulation. And so as they issue their guidance, we are updating our policies and information and keeping the county up to date and making sure that we're targeting documents that need to be updated. So there will be an amendment to the construction contract, the admin contract, and the engineering contract to include the new Section 3 clauses. Section 3 was always part of all of our contracts. It's just different now of how, like, it's added additional complexity to what we need to do in terms of reporting and hiring and how we talk about Section 3 to TDA. Next slide, please.
Okay.
So this is the final slide of the presentation. Again, for more information, the Texas CDBG policy issuance 20-01. That is the revised policy from HUD that TDA has interpreted and given guidance on. And then what part of the code that has actually been updated is 24 CFR Part 75. And so, again, all the links that are in here in this presentation can be provided if y'all need it. I think I've emailed it before, but I can email it again. And that's it for right now for Section 3. Are there any other questions?
I don't think so. Appreciate the presentation.
You're welcome, and we'll make sure that we're keeping y'all informed and moving forward with the changes that are necessary. So next, we'll have those contract amendments coming down the pipeline.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
That's it for
Thank you,
me.
Ms. Adams. You may be excused. I'm going to go ahead and terminate the call.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Yeah.
This is a pretty good comment on that. I don't see a whole lot of difference from what we're already doing, really, Charlie. I mean, we get the HUD certification already. And Charlie, in addition to grant work, Charlie looks through it, I look through it, Beck looks through it, Penny looks through it, and we get a stack of every pay sheet for every employee that's being employed into that project. So we all sign off on. So I think it's a whole lot different than what we're already doing, but it's just some new verbiage, yeah.
Are they doing the breakout, which zone they're in?
They do it, yeah. And they let the contractor know, the contractor keeps, this contractor keeps very good records of what I've done.
So the public knows, we've been working with Grant Works on this for a number of years. They do an exceptionally good job. We have a great relationship. And that's why we went ahead and retained them to handle our ARPA funds and handle our FEMA damage mitigation funds. Because they take care of all the details for us. This is an edit otherwise.
Yeah.
Very well. So let's move on to the approval agenda. Item 2.1, pay bills.
Invoices for today's consideration, $872,858.45.
Move to approval. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Blue, second by Commissioner Harris to approve the bills as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. Next item is budget amendments, 2.2.
Yes, we have 3 of them today. The first one is comprised of adjustments in the operating expenditures of the general fund. The next 2 are going to be the district attorney's forfeiture and the regular operating account.
And just to inform the public, this is routine, end of fiscal year budget amendments to keep us legal.
I move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Letts, second by Commissioner Harris to approve the budget amendments as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, 5-0. Item 2.3, late bills.
There are not any.
Item 2.4, auditor reports.
Yes, we presented one report for the county clerk's office. We're asking that you accept the report.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Blue, second by Commissioner Gibson to approve the auditor's report as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Next item are to accept monthly reports.
Yes, for August 2021 monthly reports, County Clerk Jackie J.D. Dowdy and County Treasurer Tracy Sullivan. I move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner West to approve the monthly reports as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Court orders.
Yes, we had court orders from our September 13th meeting, 38928 to 38955, and court order 38956 from our September 20th meeting. They all look to be in order. I move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner West, second by Commissioner Harris to approve the court orders as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Information agenda. Status report from department heads.
I just think I'm small.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to remind everyone that this Friday is October 1st, first pay of October. But if you're looking for your paycheck to increase, that's not going to happen until 10/29, the first full pay period of the fiscal year, which starts on October 10th. So I know we usually get a lot of calls, first pay of October, I don't see an increase. You won't see that until October 29th.
It has to be a full pay period.
The first full pay period. Also with the salary study adjustments as well, will kick in on 10/29.
And you really believe what you just said to keep you from getting calls?
I'm also going to send an email.
Any other department heads? Okay, 3.2 is status reports for elected officials. Sheriff.
Yes. Yeah, I know some of y'all like to keep up with the human trafficking, human smuggling. Just kind of want to report y'all, last week was a busy week. We had 4 incidents. First of all, one was in Kimball County. They had a pursuit with a bailout. They caught some got away. We assisted on that one. Also another one went from into Kendall County. We assisted at that one. They were able to apprehend all the illegals. Then we assisted Ingram PD last week with one. We got in a pursuit, wrecked out. One of the patchers was pinned in the vehicle from the wreck. The rest of them got away. Then we had what I call a picture perfect one on Saturday. That was our office was involved in it. Short pursuit on I-10. Got them stopped. Was able to detain the driver and 9 more. Basically load them up and took them to the sheriff's department where Border Patrol picked them up within a couple of hours. You know what? I just want the public to know, like all the 4 of these, including Kirk County Sheriff's Office. They are becoming very time consuming. When we're not in the lead, it doesn't take as much time, but like the one on Saturday was all ours. So, I had everybody working, 6 deputies, plus we called out some more guys. It's just very time consuming. Obviously, it looks like things are picking up. Just want to keep everybody aware about that, and we'll keep moving forward. Thank you. Yes.
Are there different places, countries of origin with these folks?
Well, all over. As we hear the Haitians, we haven't run across any of them yet, but they're from all over. It's unfortunate, but like I said, I think it's only going to continue to pick up. That's why we're moving that direction. Basically, I'm going to dedicate a couple of units to specifically work out in that area when we call the hot times, whatever we can get. But we're real fortunate on ours. Like I said, we will file human smuggling charges. We did file also evading. Also, the guy we called on Saturday who had a warrant for family violence. So, what I say is, these people are making a lot of money off this, so we'll just continue to put them in jail and do our part.
Sheriff, the one at Ingram, do you think they came down 39 as opposed to going to 41, or
Yes.
trying to slip through that way?
Yeah, I do. We're real lucky. They're going all different ways, what I mean? So we're real lucky to get on that one. Like, there's a perfect example. They wreck out. Actually, one of our deputies, one of the officers, we're going to be putting them in for a award. They had to wreck, and the car was on fire. One of the Ingram PD officers and one of our deputies pulled them out of the vehicle. But, they really don't care about anything but making money. It's all about yourself, and that's what we're going to be going against.
Good.
Thank y'all.
Thanks for keeping us up to date. Yes, sir. Any other elected official reports? Okay, let's move on to commissioner status reports.
The only one I have is just mentioned last week that
I'm glad you bring that up.
That in the Lone Star program, it looks like they were looking to the PDOs around the state to help provide the attorneys for the people that are being arrested, primarily for trespassing and other mostly misdemeanors. It was put on hold on Thursday, and on Friday it was put on fast track. So when we come back to us, I presume next week, or our next meeting, to see if we want to pursue it or not. Preliminary items that they would like for the Hill Country Regional PDO to hire 8 people. 5 of them be attorneys, 1 felony, 1 investigator, and 1 support. And they would get 100% funded by the state.
Is it that big an issue here?
It's
Sleeping on a park,
it is-
sleeping on a park bench kind of folks.
It is in
right?
Medina County,
Okay.
okay? And these people
So it's
probably
pretty-
be in Medina.
The probable housing did, but it's most of the people being arrested right now are being put in the facility in Dilley.
Right.
And they're trying to get PDOs from, the Lubbock PDO is gonna be probably the lead PDO for this, and they'll either be subbing it out to other PDOs or will be directly with the TIDC. That's still up in the air, but it'll probably count as informational. We can say no, we don't wanna do it, but the indication is, we'll do a little bit of a feather in our cap with future funding with TIDC if we agree to do this.
But the others in the public defender's office, don't they have a say in this? Are they all
Oh, John
made their
Bull.
determination?
Yeah, well, John Bull, he's the one who's keeping me up to speed on
In
this.
5 counties?
Oh, yeah, it's going, John
It
Bull.
has to go to all of them, doesn't it?
John Bull,
Yes.
Now, why would we be voting on what's happening in Medina County and they don't have a say in it?
Well, it's not that they don't have to say, it's that our public defender's office, PDO, is a department of Kerr County. And so we're the ones that,
So do they put in a request for this? How did we get the,
and it's, so the public understands, Operation Lone Star is the governor's program, to detain people that are crossing the river illegally, okay? And have them arrested, if they commit crimes, and put in jail.
that's why it's a misdemeanor.
That's right.
I thought you were talking about vagrants or something.
No.
You're talking about what the sheriff's talking
We're
about.
talking about exactly what sheriff, this is dovetailing exactly on what he's doing. When he puts them in jail, they're charged with misdemeanors, then we have to, the county's gonna prosecute them for misdemeanors.
I was about to ask the county attorney's office if we had that many misdemeanors.
and to answer your question, John Bull, our chief public defender, is sending information out to all 5 counties on the oversight committee.
Right.
If he got in feedback that some of the counties don't want this to happen, he would probably not recommend that we do it. But, we haven't, this is first step. The other counties have been notified.
This is really the governor's program to arrest people for.
That's right. But we need to have attorneys representing these people that are charged with crimes.
Sure.
Because they're in that.
And the input that the Indiana County has is, they're on the traffic pattern more than we are, so that's probably where these additional public defenders will be housed. Down there because it's closer to Dillon.
Sure.
Here's over there.
Now, does that mean also, you're paying for their salary? Do they have a place for them to settle?
And Medina does have space, I believe, in their old courthouse, that is opening up their new courthouse annex. And, the only cost would be the oversight from Mr. Bull and Barry, because there's, I don't know if there's any compensation for that, but the salaries and benefits are covered 100%, as we've been told by the state for these people.
And it'll be a separate grant.
So that everybody understands, the governor said we're gonna arrest people coming across the border and charge them with misdemeanors, and we're gonna pay for their attorney.
Yeah,
Just so it's clear.
Just so it's clear.
Just, it's a political thing,
There's mud.
obviously.
Okay. But anyway, that's all I had. Trying to explain that, and that's coming down for next week, or 2 weeks.
Any other commissioner reports? Okay, we're gonna have an executive session. The items that will be on the agenda are 4.2A, which is to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding personnel in the Veteran Services Office. And 4.2B, which is to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action in the current employee supervisory role of the new grant administrator.
And Judge, if I could have Ms. Doss present for the first one and Ms. Reset present for the second one, that'd be all right.
So we will adjourn briefly and reconvene in executive session. Come back to order out of executive session. It is 11:32. We have no action to take following our executive session. So, court is adjourned.